All right. All right. Does everyone see the slides?
No.
The wrong link. You're on the wrong tab. Oh, there you go.
Okay, great. Okay, here we are. All right. Thank you, guys. So, what is zero waste? There's actually an official definition, and this is per the Zero Waste International Alliance, defines zero waste as a goal that is ethical, economical, efficient, and visionary, a way to guide people in changing their lifestyles and practices to emulate sustainable natural cycles, a process where all discarded materials are designed to become resources for others to use. This is pretty ambitious, and as we know from many conversations on the calls like this, sometimes we're very limited in what we can dispose of depending on the city you live in, the zip code, the access to different waste management companies and all that. But this is designed to help us move towards a path of zero waste, maybe even less waste, and looking at what we're bringing in before we even throw it out. And that way, if you're looking more at what you're bringing in to begin with, then you're less burdened with properly disposing of it. So we have a new program, and many of you are familiar with our PowerWise, our WaterWise, our SolarWise. So this is our zero waste program. And we really look at the 4 R's, which are rethink, really think about what the material is that you are purchasing or bringing into your building. Reuse, finding a new use for an item instead of just throwing it away. Recycle, which, as we know, is converting it into a reusable material. And this can mean recycling it into the exact same product, like an aluminum can, sometimes plastic, but it could even be turning plastic water bottles into a t-shirt. And then reduce, so using less to begin with. So those are kind of the 4 R's. Any comments or questions about those?
Well, it seems like the most important one is to rethink, because once you're beyond that point, it gets pretty difficult, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes rethinking, you almost have to think about it so that you can determine, well, can this be reused? Can this be recycled? Do I even need it to begin with? And that's where the reduce really is helpful. So we offer sort of 2 versions of our zero waste program, and Hannah's with us, so I'm gonna let her join. We have option 1 is our self-guided audit, and that's where we provide you with the self-guided tool, and we would allow you to use your staff, your green team or your congregational staff would use that as a guide to determine your waste reduction opportunities. The other option is a GIPL guided audit. And that's where, for a feed, we would come and conduct your audit, make recommendations for diverting waste streams, and provide a workshop or film screening to discuss how the waste impacts our lives and the planet. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, hey everyone, it's good to see you. Sorry, I'm a little bit late coming from another presentation. Yeah, so I think one of the biggest differences between the self-guided and the GIPL guided, like Joanna said, is that with the GIPL guided audit, we'll walk through the facility with you. We can make some specialized recommendations. As part of this, we will also provide a workshop or a film screening to help provide some extra education about this topic, and we can customize that for your congregation to talk specifically about some of the needs. For your workshop, we can also help to schedule a tour of a recycling facility, which is another great educational opportunity if you want to know where your recycling goes and what they actually do with that recycling. We can help set up that tour. As part of this program, we also will be providing information about recycling and composting, so we can talk about like how to get some resources for building out those programs. We are working with a couple of congregations right now. We got some grant funding to put recycling bins inside and a couple of bins outside to help build out a recycling program. And so we're hoping to be able to continue getting grant funds to build that out with other congregations. But after we do the audit, we can assess your congregation's needs for that and see how we can make that work for you. We also will provide a sample sustainability policy as part of this audit, and we'll work with you to create that policy that's specific for your congregation. So that could include things like banning styrofoam, talking about when you have congregational events, what kinds of materials you're bringing in for that, establishing guidelines saying like, we will only use plates that we can wash in the dishwasher, something like that, or saying we'll only purchase from these green companies. So we can help you build out that sustainability policy, and that's all part of this audit.
Mhm. Yes. And, when a lot of congregations have, different caterers that use their kitchen or their facility for different events. And part of your congregation's policy can be that anyone who uses our building or our kitchen, must not use the following materials. So that's something that could be included in the policy. Another tour that we also are happy to help coordinate is touring the Candida building, which is on the Georgia Tech campus. It's known as a living building. There are only 15 living buildings in the world, and it is truly a zero waste building, meaning there is nothing gets, well, they have a landfill, a small little box that's taken, but anything that has to do with water, energy is completely kind of zero loop. And it's really an inspiring place to tour, just to see what actually is possible.
Yeah, we can take questions about this program in a few minutes. Oh, yeah, so I think we covered most of this. But yeah, all of these things are included in the audit that we talked about. I guess the only thing that I didn't mention is recycling graphics, but we are working on a number of graphics that you can use to share with your congregation to just like talk to them about what you're doing to help provide some more information about recycling. I think there's a lot of myths out there, and so we're helping to provide education through the classes and workshops, other resources, and through graphics that you can share in your social media or like in newsletters, things like that. So the next step is to email me if you're interested in this program. I can send you more information. You can also go on our website. We have a whole page dedicated to this program. And so you can learn more, see all of the things that we just talked about. We have an MOU and a congregational background sheet for this program. And so we can, so you fill out the MOU, send us that in the congregational background sheet, and then we can figure out a time for us to come out and do the audit, or we'll send you the whole document on that. The next thing that we wanted to talk about today is our Eco Challenge. And so I know we had sent out an email about this at the beginning of January. So this year we're doing a new thing. We're launching an Eco Challenge, which is an opportunity for congregations that have green teams to get a little bit more involved. So again, this is only something that's available to congregations that have green teams. So it's one of the benefits and one of the resources that we're providing you as green teams. So each month we'll have a different theme, and each month we'll also have a category for learn, act, and advocate. So we're providing a little bit of information about the theme. Then we're providing a few concrete action steps that you can take related to the theme. And then we're providing one advocacy opportunity. And so it's our hope that you use this as a way to engage your congregation, that you in some way send it out to your congregation at the beginning of the month, and that you ask people to participate and ask them to report back to you what they've done. So like this month is solar, and one of the actions is looking into a home solar assessment to see if your home is eligible for if it would be a good fit for solar. So if somebody in your congregation does that and gets the assessment, they let you know. And then at the end of the month, you fill out a reporting form that lets us know how your congregation engaged in this. And so we are also shifting how we send out this information. We've heard from a couple of you that it would be helpful to get ahead of time so that you have a few weeks to plan how you're going to get this out to your congregation. So you will receive the challenge the month before. So somewhere between the 15th and the 20th of the previous month, you'll get the next month's eco challenge. So sometime this week, you will get the challenge for March, and that will give you some time as a green team to figure out how you want to send this out to your congregation. Hopefully that gives you enough time to like put it in a newsletter, a bulletin, announcement, something like that. So hopefully that helps you all. We send the Eco Challenge document. We'll also send you a blurb and some social media graphics that you can include in the newsletter, bulletin, social media. So hopefully all that you need to do is just send all of this information to a communications person or talk to your faith leader about how to get the information out to your congregation. We are also putting the Eco Challenge online. It won't be searchable on our website, but it will be linked online. So you can just send that link without having to send the PDF to your congregation. And then to help incentivize you all to participate in this, we have some quarterly prizes. And so we're hoping that you fill out this reporting form at the end of the month. And then every 3 months, we'll look at those forms and see which congregation has engaged the most. So at the end of March, we'll be giving out 5 free tickets to our Eco Faith from Home conference in May. Sometime at the end of June, we will be giving a free enrollment in GIPL's Zero Waste program. At the end of September, we will give away a free GIPL class or workshop. And at the end of December, we will offer a free river cleanup coordinated by GIPL staff that you can schedule sometime in the next year. So hopefully these prizes help to incentivize you all and your congregation to get involved in this program. And then the last things that we wanted to mention are some upcoming events. So join us this Thursday and Friday for an event called Breathe Again, Healthy Air is Healthcare. This is a train the trainer event. And so we will be talking about air pollution and climate change, some of the impacts of air pollution on the climate. And we hope that you all can join us to learn more about this. So Thursday is the training to get information. We'll go over a legislative ask related to this topic. And then Friday, we'll ask you to come back and to join us on Zoom as we call our legislators and ask them to take bold climate action. So that's coming up this Thursday and Friday. There's information about that on our website. So you can go on our website to sign up for this event. And then next week, for green teams that are located in the Atlanta area, we will have our first in-person roundtable on Wednesday, February 23rd from 9:30 to 11 a.m. at Morningside Presbyterian Church. We will be watching a documentary about the Okefenokee, and we'll have an opportunity to write letters together to our legislators asking them to oppose the proposed mining near the Okefenokee swamp. So I hope that you can join us. It would be so great to be together in person. We'll be practicing social distancing and masking guidelines. We hope that you can join us. Register online just to let us know that you will be there so that we can expect you and we can send you more information about where to meet in the church. Do you have anything else?
No, that's yeah. I feel like there might be some questions. I saw one in the chat.
Yeah,
so
if we want
can
to stop sharing the screen, maybe. Sure. Yeah, so we'll open it up for questions now.
Hey, Hannah, this is Jay. By the way, I liked what you put out for all that comes with the zero waste. And, I've been part of trying to think about this in some degree with you guys. And just so other folks know, the Atlanta Archdiocese Laudato Si revision was recently sent out. And in there, if you want to see a contextual framework for those audits from the zero waste view, that's the way we kind of wrote it into the waste and recycling section. So, that's available for anyone that wants to look at it. as part of the action plan. So, and then number two, on the graphics specific question, how are you guys thinking about doing graphics on that? Because, each depends upon, what service everyone has as to what items will be collected. And then there's some efforts trying to standardize some of that. So I didn't know if you were working with someone on that, or if you were, how you were thinking about going about doing that.
Yeah, so I mean, the thought is to customize it for the congregations. And so after we do the waste audit and, look into where the congregation is located, what recycling hauler they're working with, where that recycling is going, making customized graphics for them. Because like you said, it's not a one size fits all. So we will be working to customize those graphics for each congregation.
Okay. So the one thing I would tell you on the graphics, just so everyone knows, it worked for the congregation, but we don't want to confuse folks when they go home and they
Yeah.
think they can do the same thing at home. So a little bit of thought as we think about that and distribute that would probably be helpful. And
Yeah,
then,
that's great.
yeah, and then from an institutional level, you're the asset out there that's really done a lot of work on graphics and labeling that you can reach out to is Agnes Scott College. I'm sure the sustainability director would help you with that.
Yeah, that's a great resource. Thanks. I think some of the graphics are also going to just kind of be for the congregation to let them know that there's a new recycling program and to encourage folks to recycle generally. But I think for some of that specific information, I'd love to circle back with you, Jay, to make sure that what we're putting out makes sense and is not going to be confusing or conflicting for the congregations.
Right. Thank you.
I'll just follow up on that. Are the graphics that you guys would provide, are they just social media based, or do you plan to offer printed, not that we want that, but just on-site graphics as well?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about what is needed for congregations. We're happy to work with you to figure that out. Yeah, especially like if you're looking to have something next to a recycling bin or something like that, we could work with you. And that would be, again, doing some research to make sure that we're putting out the right information about what's actually can be recycled.
Right. And then we'll sort of get to know your facility to see where the trash cans make the most sense. How many signs do you need? How big do they need to be? That would be sort of somewhat individualized.
Okay, last question. If you do end up, sorry, I'll just be.
What are the assets that you prefer to bring in for recycling? I mean, cans, bottles, plastics. How do you define those?
Hannah, do you want me to help with that, or do you want to do that?
Pardon me?
Well, I can probably help answer that question for you.
Huh?
So the thing they're, part of what they're going to do is look at, on site, you probably have a waste hauler you're working with that holds your waste and recycling. And what you want to do is find out what they're collecting and taking, and then match up with them. I think you're correct. The typical items that will be collected from that kind of and they're just putting it into a big container, or it could be a roll off or a 5 cubic yard container, would be paper, cardboard. And that makes a lot of sense because most of the material recovery facilities that process are working for paper companies, so they like all that stuff. And then number two would be bottles that you actually can have a screw cap on, but you'll have to check and make sure. Some, generally speaking, they take that. Cans and cardboard is the other thing that's a lot of value and that they use. So those would be the typical items that they would collect.
How about plastic?
Well, the bottles would be plastic bottles. So that would be things like detergent bottles, which is a high density polyethylene, or a drink bottle, which is a polyethylene, and that's it. The other plastics that you gather, you would not put in that container. You'd have to gather that and take it into, say, the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials, or a local recycling center if you have one.
do we have a list somewhere of all these places that do take difficult things, such as charm? Are there other places, specific things we could take there? And also, one other question is, has there been any thought of somehow addressing different companies like Coca-Cola, their production line, how they do things, do they have to use so much plastic, whatever. In other words, trying to get companies to do things that are right and not wrong. I mean, we get so many things that I've bought all my life that never went on these formed packaged plastic, hard plastics that you can't recycle. I mean, toothbrushes used to come in cellophane and cardboard or, lightweight board. Now they're in this sealed thing that you can't recycle. Do we have any thoughts of getting with these companies and getting things done? And then do we have any list of where we can recycle difficult things?
Well, Charm is really the place that we promote the most because they really do take the most. So Charm is the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials. It's in Grant Park. There are other locations that take glass, but nothing as inclusive as Charm that I'm aware of. But we can.
So Hannah, I can probably help a little bit with that.
Sure.
So there may be, and again, it depends on where in Atlanta. There are recycling centers. So I live up in Gwinnett. So there's the Snellville Recycling Center, which takes a wider range of materials, and they'll accept that, which includes glass. But there's other things you may not be thinking about. So there's also some retail take-back programs. So if you have like plastic bags and some styrofoam, like egg cartons, and even if you had plates, they would probably take it. You can take that back to a Publix or a Kroger or a Walmart. That's what they call their rack program. So there are some alternatives if you want to do it. It's like anything else. It's a matter of time and will, right? And there is no one convenient place to take this, but there are other options. Hannah, you can probably look at the Keep America Beautiful. Give Natalie a call because the local affiliates have local drop-off information. So in Gwinnett, if you went to Gwinnett Clean and Beautiful, it's got a pretty extensive list of where those drop-offs are and what they take.
I don't know if any of y'all live near Sandy Springs, but Sandy Springs has a pretty good recycling center. If you go down Roswell Road and across from the Fulton County Government Building, there's a road, and that's where you turn down, go to the end of that, down that road. And it's if you want to Google it, it's Sandy Springs Recycling Center or Sandy Springs Clean and Beautiful. If you live in Fulton County, we help subsidize that. Or if you live in Sandy Springs, they do the rest of the subsidizing, and they don't take as much as Charm does, but they take a lot. And they take a lot that the city of Atlanta doesn't take.
And then after the questions, I'll dig into what a manufacturer is doing because I've got some news for you on that.
Great. Myrtle, your hand is raised.
Yeah, I'm listening to a lot of comments from a lot of people who have done their own homework and have found resources and who know about them. And I know that I tried to do that. I have a document that I may even have shared with you, Hannah, I'm not sure. But it seems like we need to sort of take advantage of the collective wisdom of all the people who are here, and for somebody to say, yeah, I'll take this on, and have us send the information we have to some kind of central place so that it can be available to all of us and to others. I mean, I'm not volunteering, I'm just suggesting.
Yeah, that would be great. That's a great idea. It sounds like there's a lot of collective wisdom right here. Yeah, we can certainly start that list.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is exactly why we have these
Yeah,
roundtables. This for a chance for you all to share with each other, because there's a lot of things that we can help with, but you all have a lot of wisdom and knowledge, particularly about your own contexts and areas. So thank you all for sharing your expertise.
So
one thing I might pass along just for general information. our committee, the Environmental Stewardship Committee at Dunwoody Methodist, did a tour of Pratt Industries. Pratt Industries, they handle the recycling for all of DeKalb County, all of the city of Atlanta, and other units too. And they will set up a tour. It wasn't easy. Barbara took care of making the arrangements, and took a lot of phone calls. But it's a very interesting tour to go there and actually see the recycling being done.
Yeah, that's an incredible opportunity, and I think a great resource for other congregations, and we'd be happy to help set that up if others are interested in that tour.
Yeah, and just so you know, for those that are interested in this, right, the Pratt Material Recovery Facility is a very unique facility. It's what they call an integrated MRF, and you don't find that in many cities, believe it or not. So there's different business models for how these work. So that's an asset for Atlanta that's really quite amazing, because other ones may not be as willing to accept materials.
Since Myrtle brought this up, is there anybody at GIPL we could send our various ideas about where you can recycle things we've researched, found to do, things as we find more? Would there be anybody on staff who'd want to take that? And
yeah, you can send that to me, and I'd be happy to compile a list and circulate it back out to the green teams. Putting my email in the chat now.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Joanna.
And Joanna and Hannah, I think, one thing I would suggest you do as you do this, right, because these things change periodically. Yes. So it'd be really good just to pull the links of lists of those that are tracking these things.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah.
And then we can try to update you too, as we're using them and then they're not there or something, or we've used something else. We can try to update you.
So
yeah, that would be great.
So I see questions in there about the bottle bills.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Jay what you knew about that.
Yeah.
So believe it or not, so as we talk about this industry response, I heard someone talk about what's Coca-Cola doing, and Coca-Cola is probably if you get they're about as thin as they can be now. Some people actually complain about them. So, but there are some organizations that are working on this that I want to point out to you. There is one called the Sustainable Packaging Coalition, and you can Google them. And that's a consortium that's working with all the consumer brands on sustainable packaging solutions. And so you can get an idea of some of the things that they're working on and looking at. And this is really around if you want to call it the technical pieces of the packaging supply chain. And so one of the more recent ones you'll see up there, for example, is they're developing a auditable label for recycled content, because if you think about recycling and the demand of how that business model works, the more you incentivize and pull in the packaging suppliers to use recycled content, the better our recycling system operates. And so they've got a way to certify that, which then also means it's eligible in the market for some credits that could be sold on the market that finance those changes. So, these are some of these interesting, different kind of policy things that are embedded in that kind of organization. The second one I want to turn your attention to, and it's kind of two of them. One is the Recycling Partnership, which is the one that's working with local governments for industry to finance infrastructure for recycling. So, for example, both the city of Atlanta and Gwinnett County, they've made investments to do that. But they have a spinoff called U.S. Plastic Pack. Excuse me, U.S. Plastic Pack. So you can Google that. And that's a consortium of environmental interest groups, industry, citizens. You can actually be an activator on that. And they're actually looking at things like they've put out just recently the list of the 25 problem plastics that they're calling for the supply chain to eliminate as they're in the production of packaging. Those are things you can get behind today and activate in your own community and make sure, as a consumer and as a ratepayer, you see about these things. The last thing is, so the consumer brands are actually changing their tune and are actually supporting deposit legislation now. So I'll give you an example. Look at the American Can Manufacturers Association. They have actually put out a platform encouraging deposit legislation. You go, well, why are they doing that? Well, same thing with plastics. It's about improving end of life, and they realize there's some supportive policies. That's been the change in the last 2 years of looking at these kind of policies that all of a sudden are saying maybe do work to get the materials they want. And if you think about Coca-Cola, they want bottles back, right? So it kind of makes sense for them. And then, you know, I'll be honest with you, there's a hedge in that. And the hedge is they're trying to shape their own version of what's called extended producer responsibility, which is where a manufacturer has a responsibility for end-of-life management for those containers. And so deposit bills look better to them than other options. So sometimes it's a meeting of some mutual things. And my guess will be you'll start seeing them partner with like World Wildlife Fund and other environmental interest groups on some of these programs. So, be interested and see. Now, part 2 of this is just so you know that on plastics, and I know we're focused on packaging, that's not where the petrochemical companies are aimed at. They're aimed at plastics that go elsewhere. So, you remember the infrastructure bill that was just passed? So what's it going to put in the ground? Millions and millions of tons of PVC pipe. That's where the money's at. So, I'm just telling you, besides packaging, think about these things, about these, what could be an unintended consequence, particularly for the communities that live near these plants that produce vinyl chloride plastics. So that's going to be the largest growing end use of new plastics is in buildings and infrastructure. And they're already ramping up production 17-fold in the last 5 years for resin production for that side. So, if you're really interested in this, take a little bit broader view.
Wow.
Thanks, Jay.
Yes.
So much good information.
Yes.
Ken, I see that your hand is raised.
Yeah, so a question I have, as Hannah, hopefully you've seen, we have an MOU with you folks, and we've submitted pretty close to everything we need to do to get an energy audit started. My question is, when you describe a zero waste audit and a zero waste MOU, are those different things?
So it'll be a separate MOU for the zero waste program, different than
Okay.
what you just completed for the energy audit.
But is it very similar, or?
It's pretty similar. It's on our website, but I can also send it to you to look at, but it's, it just is more, it's unique for the zero waste program, with
Okay.
what our expectations are for you and what you can expect from us.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Hi, everybody. I have just a quick question I was hoping I could get some input on. St. Thomas More in Decatur, we're hoping to have an event, hopefully on Earth Day, and we want to do a screening, possibly a documentary, but we also want it to be geared towards families if possible. So I was just curious if anybody had a film or documentary recommendation that would appeal to adults and children.
Kiss the Ground is a great one.
Hit the ground, yes.
Yeah, and that's on Netflix.
Can you say that again?
Kiss the Ground. It's about regenerative agriculture, but it has broader topics covered too around climate change. It's a good one.
Awesome, thank you.
It would be appropriate for kids. I don't know that I would call it like a geared towards kids.
Right.
What would you say? I mean,
my kids
you
watched it.
You have kids, so yeah.
They were 9 and 12 at the time. I think maybe not a 2-year-old, but that's a different audience
I think
altogether.
that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, unfortunately, I know a lot of them that would probably they'd want to go in their bathroom and lock the door. So.
The Lorax.
The Lorax. Yes, thank you, Gayla. That's the ultimate. That's a great movie.
Yeah, that
it's
is great.
Dr. Seuss, but it has such such a strong theme of
Mhm.
that your actions today matter, and just sort of the broader lessons of caring for the earth and limited resources. It's a great one.
I love that. I think that's a great idea.
For everyone here, in Gwinnett, one of the things that I'm hosting a Meet the Author series as part of Gwinnett County Public Libraries. And one of them is going to be Susan Varlamoff and her book on sustainable landscaping with Mario Camberdelli. So if there's interest in this forum as those get scheduled, I've got an ambitious goal because I've got a backdoor to this person to bring in Catherine Hayhoe probably in the fall as part of that series. So, and then I've got John Lanier working on some other ones for me. So as those things come together, I'm trying to do the Gwinnett County has got a sustainability commission. So I'm trying to influence people's thinking around that. So as they come up, if you're interested, I can share those and make sure that those things get shared out because they'll be virtual for the most part. So.
Yeah, that's great, Jay. If you want to send me information about those, I'm happy to send that out to the Green Team list.
Yeah. Well, as they come out, I'll once I get the series logged out, I'll just let everyone know what the series is, and then as the county produces the flyers, they'll push them out.
Cool.
I saw a movie over winter break. It's David Attenborough, who did all the Planet Earth series. It's sort of his conclusion film. I'll find the name, but that's another great one for families. It combines all his observations over his many years of being an anthropologist and sort of what his sort of wisdom and his advice to the world is. It's a great one.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
What other questions or events do you all want to share?
Yeah, I have a question going back to the monthly Echo Challenge. Our congregation moves so slowly that the problem is communication and getting the word out. And I was wondering, it'll help to have information a couple weeks before the month, but is it possible to even send the topic out even though you don't have the information gathered? If we knew the topic earlier, could that be backed up at all?
Yeah, of course. We have all of the topics planned out for the year, so we can send you all of those so that you can start preparing. That's a great idea.
That would really help to get people enthusiastic if they just see what they are. Oh, that would be great.
Yep, we can send that out. You can just...
There's one other event I want to maybe mention out there. On March 23rd, let me make sure, March 23rd, there's going to be a forum. It'll be virtual, so anyone can join, called Connecting People and Places, a community conversation about litter that Keep America Beautiful is going to be hosting. If that's of interest, when that link comes out and the flyer, Hannah, I'll make sure you guys can get it, can distribute that. It'd be good to hear what folks from a community viewpoint say about litter, and hopefully, I'm hoping it'll go a little bit broader than our usual conversation.
Yeah, that would be great. Please send that to me, Jay. All right, well, if there's nothing else, thank you all for joining us today. Thanks for this good conversation. And Jay, thank you again for all of your knowledge and experience with recycling. I know that you put some links in the chat, so I will capture those and send those out in a follow-up email so that everybody has those. But please let us know what other questions you have, how else we can help you. If you're interested in the Zero Waste program, please let us know. We'd love to work with you all on that project. And if you're in Atlanta or the Atlanta metro area, we hope to see you next Wednesday at 9:30 at Morningside Presbyterian Church for our first in-person regional roundtable. So yeah, be in touch. Let us know how we can help you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
Thanks all.
I dropped my email in the chat for folks have like policy questions. So nice to meet y'all. Yeah, have a good one.
Awesome.